is to comply with our own ordinances and California state law. So we had an emergency this past week on Friday. We had a fire downtown at one of the commercial buildings. And due to the serious danger to health and public safety that it posed to the resources required to fight the fire, the mayor declared a proclamation of a local emergency. And that was done pursuant to the Portola Municipal Code, Section 232, which provides for the creation of a disaster council and appoints the mayor as the director of emergency services for the city. And it authorizes the proclamation of an emergency, which then allows the city to utilize resources to take action to respond to the emergency. This portion of the municipal code, adopted in 1971, is really based upon the California Emergency Services Act. And one of the provisions of the Emergency Services Act provides that when a local emergency is proclaimed by the Director of Emergency Services, that within 7 days of that proclamation, the legislative body, the county board of supervisors, or in this case, the city council, is required to take action and to ratify the proclamation. And if that is not done, then the powers and duties and authorizations provided in that proclamation dissolve. And so we're here for you to consider items A through D. Item A, the first one is to ratify the proclamation. That would again satisfy the requirements of the Emergency Services Act and confirm all the actions that were taken. Included among those actions were to delegate and appoint the city manager as the assistant director of emergency services, and to authorize him to take all action during that emergency. That was part of the proclamation. That's being ratified by this action tonight. Item B, as I told the mayor and the city manager, these may seem a bit duplicative. I wrote this out on Saturday afternoon. We were all scrambling to get things put together here. So item B merely authorizes the Director of Emergency Services and Assistant Director to exercise all the duties and powers set forth in our municipal code related to these local emergencies. Item C authorizes those two positions to seek any and all aid, including to ask the governor of the state of California to declare an emergency to provide assistance to the extent that it may be required. I think, as you'll hear, it's pretty early in the process. There's a lot of investigative work that needs to be done before any firm conclusions can be drawn between assessment of full range of possible damages has been completed. But this authorization here, item C, would provide the power, authority, and direction to the mayor and the city manager to take action with respect to seeking aid. And finally, item D authorizes those individuals, again, to take any and all action to recover any costs or damages the city has incurred as a result of responding to this emergency. And that could, that could encompass a wide range of activities. Again, we don't know the full extent of what we're facing, but we wanted to put together an agenda for you to consider tonight that would delegate and authorize any and all appropriate action to respond to this emergency.
So I suppose you'd like to, you've heard a lot of things, but as far as the actual emergency and where we are as we speak, and we have tonight, of course, Sheriff Hagwood here, Jerry Seid from the Office of Emergency Services, Todd Roberts, your Public Works Director, and your staff here to answer any of your questions. A lot has happened today, and I probably don't have it all reduced to numbers, so I'm going to have staff fill in when they can. Essentially, a representative, and Shelley's here now, representative of the owner, and she might want to speak to something as well once you get your motion, your seconds, and we can talk to the public. But the owner has a power of attorney to his brother. He's authorized Shelley to hence the area, and start the remediation of the property, meaning hauling it away. Of course, that requires still yet an investigation of the scene by the city and hopefully the insurance company, and a little poking around for toxics to see if there's anything really serious there that needs to be addressed while they remove this to probably Lockwood, I would think. So things are moving. When we came here this morning, none of that was in play. And within the last couple of hours, we've gotten information that it's already starting. As you probably know, the fire was still going this morning. And we had the excavator out there, and we're still turning it and hosing it. But it's looking like it's pretty much out now. Also, the red tag buildings, we had our engineer in over the weekend. Some of the buildings are red tagged, some of them are, what's that called, Todd?
Restricted use.
Restricted use. The property owner's engineer has come in and certified those buildings can be occupied. So the liability is now off of the city and onto the property owner should they want to reopen those buildings, and they do. They want to get them up and going again. Does staff have any other information pertinent since Saturday or Friday? Before, or questions of staff? Steve?
If I may.
Please.
You indicated that investigations need to occur. One of those investigations would be a investigation by a fire department, a fire investigator to investigate perhaps the cause of the fire. That had been ordered, or I believe requested of, I want to say CAL FIRE, but it wasn't CAL FIRE.
It was.
Oh, CAL FIRE, I believe on Friday, and as I understand, CAL FIRE's been backed up in its work, but has indicated that it would respond and provide an investigator as soon as it could. It's possible that if we don't get response in a relatively prompt time, that we may seek assistance from another local fire agency that has that investigative capacity. I think what we want to do is we want to try to be as proactive as we can to facilitate the ultimate cleanup of the property, and some of these things need to happen before the cleanup can happen. So I think that the goal here is to work hand in hand with the property owner, make sure that all the required investigations reports have been done in a timely manner so that we all can get moving.
And when talking with Shelley just this afternoon, she's leaving no stone uncovered as she tries to put these, there's conflicting information even in her own mind as to what was going on, because there was people literally in that building 10 minutes before it blew. So,
There was somebody in the building as it was
No.
on fire.
No, there was not.
No?
No, there was not.
Jesse wasn't there?
so
Jesse was, he was in the apartment, yes. Well, actually, 10 minutes prior was when his electricity went out.
before we get into that conversation, though,
fire was.
you need to probably act on this, and after the motion and second, we can take public comment and try to dispel any rumors that we can, with the understanding, as Steve said, that place is barely cold. I bet you if you dug around in there, you get some heat. You know, so we are very early into this process. And so when it comes to suggesting we need to have a paid fire chief, or we need a ladder truck, like Quincy has, or we need better training, and we heard this and we hear that, that's for a different meeting. Tonight, you're putting the gears in place to get to that meeting. We have so much to do. Staff has put everything aside. As you know, we have some very critical grants out there. We have a lawsuit starting in 5 weeks. You know, nobody anticipated this, but we're kind of strained on this. So, staff recommends that you move on A, B, C, and D affirmatively.
Didn't hurt me.
And after making your motions, we'll listen to some of the public.
I make a motion that we adopt A, B, C, and D.
Second.
Okay, seeing a first and a second, may I have public comment? Nobody wants
This
to
is
say?
the time if you have any burning issue.
I'm sorry, this isn't a burning issue, but it is a very strong concern. Yeah, excuse me. This is not a burning issue, but this is a very strong concern that I have.
What is your name,
My
please?
name is Kathleen Toll, I'm a licensed marriage family therapist.
Thank you.
I have patients that come to my office, and I want to be reassured, first of all, for myself, both ethically and legally, that, that the building is sound for my patients to come back to. So I just want to, and also for their concerns, I have a lot of patients who have a lot of anxiety, and they're local people that are in this community. And I'm sure they hear all sorts of rumors going around as well as I have. And I want to make sure when they come to that building, they know it's safe.
Todd, can you address how that process works?
Yes, Jan has hired an independent engineer, civil engineer. He came in today and he gave an assessment of the building. We're waiting for his written report, but verbally we have the okay to reopen the buildings that they're structurally sound. At that time, we also had an electrician over there to make sure there was no water damage to any of the electrical systems in the building. At this time, Jan, I think there's only one that we're not gonna open up.
Right.
Everything else is
So at this point in time, my office is okay to see plans.
Not today, not tomorrow, until we get
the engineer report.
actual reports. But within the next couple days.
And maybe at that point in time, we could also do something in the community to let the whole community know that it's safe as well, because like I said,
So this is
It's-
a conversation you two need to
Yeah.
have.
well, no, I think the whole community needs to know either that area is safe or it's not safe. And that everybody needs to know that.
I think as the building official, I'll address this.
Okay.
Okay, so that's why we have the independent engineer.
Right.
Our engineer looked at it as a safety concern for the public. I red tagged the buildings to make sure that no one was in there in case there was any structural damage that we didn't observe at the time.
I get it.
So that's why we brought, her engineer in to crawl through the attics, to look at all to make sure that it's structurally safe. He's a licensed civil engineer. He is putting his wet stamp on this, saying, yes, this is structurally
All
safe.
right, thank you.
Same with the electrical, okay? So that's kind of how we're addressing this issue.
Anybody else have anything? Tiana?
I'm Tiana Bradley. My office is right next door to where the fire was. I really want to say thank you to every single firefighter that was there. Robert Leisure, there's
Great job.
Thank you very, very much. I think you guys really needed to hear that because regardless of what anybody said, you were there within minutes. I was scared, but honest to God, we live in the best community because I took pictures and people donated food, people donated water, people donated a lot. And we don't hear that very often. We really needed to hear how awesome all 5 fire departments did and the sheriff's department with keeping everybody calm. So honest to God, thank you to the city and everybody who helped.
Thank you for that. And we were gonna put that on the agenda, but Henry said, for heaven's sakes, it's too early.
We
The
keep
fire
adding
was still
things
going
to
as we were
the
building
list.
this agenda. So we will do a formal thank you, and letters, Bob Frank's here. Thank you, Bob. You guys did great.
I'll send you the bill.
Yeah. You should send
So-
us the bill.
Shelley?
We gotta rebuild that.
On behalf of John thanks you for allowing his motorcycle to be removed.
It was,
John is terminal, he has got lung cancer, expected his bones, and since it is lymph nodes, it's a matter of time. So he has signed over power of attorney to Gary, his brother. And unfortunately, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, he goes in for fluids because he's down to 128 pounds. Okay, so Friday when this was all going on, he was in treatment. And I'm sending Gary pictures and texts and as insensitive as it might sound, he says, Shelley, he goes, that's material, he goes, we're fighting for John's life right now. So that's basically where the family stands right now. I mean, it is, things can be rebuilt, but his life can't be, if he doesn't fight for his life, so we're trying to minimize the stress. So we weren't gonna tell him, but we had to tell him because Terry was making it impossible on us, and, she was following her orders, and I respect that, okay? And
Would you explain to the public the relationship there? Because when
But
you say Terry,
Terry Woods is our insurance broker, and she's one that we signed papers with, but she is under, there's some type of a thing of confidentiality, where she can't talk to me without John's permission. So, but because John gave Gary power of attorney, Gary can't assign it to me, or I'm not sure, or they don't wanna assign it to me, I don't know. I'm not asking the questions, I'm just following orders. So, I'm not trying to complicate things, I'm just trying to get things handled and get done. And so Gary said, go ahead, get a fence up, and the fence will be put up tomorrow. And I will have no trespassing signs all around, and, luckily my apartment oversees the whole area, so if I see any violators, then I'll call the police, the sheriffs, and have them arrested, and, but we can't have anything removed until the fire inspector comes out and says, there's no asbestos, and there's no this, and there's no, everything's okay to be, the dust is okay to be, ruffled up and all that. But, John, he kind of laughed, he's like, I don't know if he has these hallucinations on the morphine, so, a couple days ago, he thought he was on TV.
He was.
building was.
Yeah.
We'll all our best.
Yes, I will, but, so anyhow, so he, I told him, he called me up and said, what's going on, and I said, not much, how are you feeling? And he said, fine. He goes, what's going on? And I said, not much. When he goes, there's a fire. I said, oh, yeah. And I didn't know Gary had said anything. And he says, well, that's 5 less bills we gotta pay. So, he was trying to keep it, it's,
Up spirit.
he's trying to keep it light and everything. And so, Gary's handling his part of it, I'm handling the immediate on-site stuff. That's all I can really answer. And if anyone has any knowledge of what they actually saw, I don't wanna hear what all this, so, but if actually saw with their own eyes, I'd like to hear it. I'm looking for, because I'm trying to work this in my mind. I was with John when this broke out, and I had to rush in for Reno here. And, so,
You're hearing a lot of stories.
I'm here, oh yeah, but I'm all familiar with Portola rumors, so I try not to even go there.
Well,
So,
thank you, I appreciate it.
all right, thank you. Thank you so much. And John was so glad to hear his wife made it.
Robert?
Well, if there's nobody else, one of the rumors is how long it took these firemen to get to the fire scene.
Yeah,
Sheriff
you can say
Hagwood,
that.
Sheriff Hagwood is here this evening, and with your permission, it's about 5 minutes long. We have the audio of the actual dispatch.
Great.
Okay.
That, so that
Love to
you
hear.
can you can tell your friends and neighbors it ain't so.
Now,
Okay.
before
It'll
you
be on
say-
video, that's why I'm doing this.
Greg, would you like to say anything before we
Well,
close?
before we play the recordings, set the stage. It's a beautiful Friday morning in Portola, Quincy as well. The dispatch center is located at the sheriff's department, and at that time I had a single dispatcher on duty, which is more often the case than it should be. There are kind of co-occurring systems in our dispatching center. One that is manually operated by the dispatcher as calls and information come in. They are typing notes as they get the time between the phone calls and dispatching and paging. They're entering notes. At the time those notes are entered, it's recorded. Those times may reflect something different than the actual time that the event happened. It's when the dispatcher was able to type in those notes. But what I also have is within that system, and it is digital, and it cannot be edited for anybody that wants to go down that ridiculous road. Well, I've heard it all. And-
Sure you have.
And I to be quite candid with all of you nice folks, I've just about had it. The things that have been said, the accusations that have been made are absolutely despicable, fundamentally dishonest, and untrue. I have the digital record that cannot be altered or edited, and I have 7 very important times that will demonstrate very clearly that I think response was just fine. Now, you can never have anybody there fast enough when you've got a situation like this. But as you play this, I want you to understand, I have one dispatcher in the dispatch center. They are operating multiple screens with multiple fields. They are answering the business line, they are answering 911 calls, they are operating the paging system, and they are doing radio traffic to officers and fire personnel on the scene. And there, one person is doing this all at the same time. So, understanding that, and when you listen to this, I think you'll come away with the sense that our first responders and our dispatch center did an admirable job.
There's a fire in Portola at the bowling alley? Yes. Okay, I'll get them going. Okay, I got 3 other calls. Do you know if anybody's inside? I don't know, I'm here yelling. Okay. Yeah, it's an inferno. Okay, is anybody inside? Oh, somebody said they saw somebody walk in there. Somebody walked inside? All right, I'll get them going. Go on. I have a fire at the bowling alley? At the bowling alley? Portola. Okay. All right, I'll get them going. I got like 10 different calls. Thank you. 911, you calling about the fire at the bowling alley? Yes, I am. Do you know if anybody's inside? Somebody said they thought they might have seen someone, but I didn't see anybody, so I don't know for sure. Okay, I'll get them going. Thank you.
That sounded like Lisa.
Okay, hold on. Attention Portola Fire, a structure fire at the old bowling alley on Commercial Street. It's fully engulfed. Repeating, a structure fire at the old bowling alley on Commercial Street. 911, what's your emergency? Are you calling about the bowling alley? You calling about the bowling alley? Hello? 911, what's your emergency? Hi. Are you calling about the bowling alley?
Oh, 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds.
Just take them out, they're on their way, okay? 911, what's your emergency? Hello, 911? Hi, there is a fire on downtown Portola at the old bowling alley. Right, at the I just, okay, thank you. Great, thank you. Good. This is supposed to copy. Hey, Sanders.
Looking to Julie from Bedford and Eastern Willis, please.
Copy that. Eastern Florida Fire, Bedford Fire, request mutual aid from Portola Fire for a structure fire on Commercial Street at the old bowling alley. Repeating, a structure fire on Commercial Street at the old bowling alley. A mutual aid from Portola Fire. Turn out 1031. Are you still there? On the hello? Hello?
Fire control, Bedford Fire, copy, say.
That's okay, copy.
Did a hell of a job.
Is responding to station 2.
No, sir, for her. office. I need to have you guys head down to Commercial Street for a rescue fire. I will do that right now. Thank you, Gina.
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
ambulance.
That's within 3 minutes.
She did a good job, Greg.
Done a great job.
So that's the end of it. So I'd like you to read the times on your
So,
sheet.
yeah. That was not condensed or altered. That's how it happened, and that's how quickly it happened, with one person in there by herself, and it was her day off. She was relieving somebody whose family member, who had a death in the family, so she came in on her day off to fill in. So, at 10:28 and 1 second, the original 911 call was received. Within, okay, so that's 10:28, original 911 calls, a total of 5 came in. 10:29, Portola Fires page. 10:29 and 29 seconds, 3 more 911 calls come in. 10:29 and 38 seconds, fire chief and others come on the radio responding. 10:30, Portola Fire Chief requesting mutual aid for Beckworth and Eastern Plumas. 10:31, dispatch calling Eastern Plumas District Hospital for an ambulance. 10:33 and 47 seconds, the fire chief is on scene and providing a size up of the call, which means I am on scene, this is the situation, this is what we need. That is from the first time the 911 rang to the fire chief being on scene, giving a size up of the entire situation, is 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Contrary to what's being reported, it is not 35 minutes. And you heard on those 911 calls,
Yeah.
there was a 911 caller, very emotional, understandably. Within a matter of a minute or two, they're calling back, where is everybody?
Yeah.
So, given the nature of volunteer fire departments, I am not in any way, shape, or form disappointed in the performance of the fire department,
Absolutely not.
by dispatch,
Absolutely.
or anybody involved in how this came out, the circumstances under which it was handled. I have no complaints whatsoever. It would be great if we had a ladder truck driving around the city 24 hours a day with everybody hanging off of it with all the best equipment to be there in a matter of seconds. There's no community in Lewis County that enjoys that. And I'm sorry, personally, I've watched the community of Quincy go through something kind of eerily similar. A little less than 2 years ago, we lost part of our main street. How many 911 calls for 5 minutes and 46 seconds? That's not bad. And I'll put that up against anybody, anywhere, anytime.
How soon was it after, was it Beckworth and Eastern Plumas that got in there?
What's that?
How soon after the call was, the mutual aid call was put out, did Beckworth and Eastern Plumas show up?
According to that document, it was, everybody arrived within 1 or 2 seconds of each other.
It was, again, this is.
That's when it was inputted, I'm sorry.
It was inputted, everybody was on scene by 10:47. That is
So is
when
that,
the time was manually inputted.
so that could be where the
Time's
confusion
coming
is
from
his
Beckworth
live
and
up to
Delaware.
35 or 15 or 35 minutes, whatever it is,
Yep.
because that's,
No way.
they could be waiting for, like, that when Beckworth showed up and when Eastern,
Yeah.
Yes, so that was confusing to us too, and there's a written printout of the dispatch that you have to take into consideration what the sheriff said.
right.
She's got all these phones
Right,
going, and
oh,
then she
I
has to
understand
input
that,
it,
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
it doesn't paint the picture that this CD does.
Right,
And
right.
I'd like to bring,
Yes. Great job.
I was looking through archives because, as you might recall, a number of years ago, we had the treehouse fire on the north side. And there was quite a bit of effort after that. The council met, had committee meetings, and was looking at a JPA with Beckworth When we pull this all together, we'll give you a report on that history. But somewhere in there, I saw that our fire assessment fee is that correct? $12
$12 per household.
a year?
Yep.
And you want a ladder truck? Well, so we need to fix this stuff. But this is what we will bring back. This will be an ongoing discussion. At that time, the fire chief, who was, I believe, a paid
Where's
worker,
Trent Saxton? He's the
fire
letter
chief
writer.
did not want
He's
to move
not here
forward with
tonight.
the JPA. My suggestion is if we want to look at a ladder truck, we do a
He can't keep his
JPA
mouth shut.
with all the other districts,
Sure
in
tears
this
everybody
region.
apart.
but we gotta really look at that
Where is
assessment
he?
as well. So that's all I have. Thank you,
I
Sheriff.
was just informed that this volunteer fire department gets $10 per call, which they spent 8 hours on that call. $10, really?
And all they can do.
90 cents an hour?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's what they've all agreed to, Shel.
huh?
that's what they've all agreed to.
Yeah.
But that's
All the
crazy.
firefighters are all
I mean,
for
that's their
that.
lives for 8 hours and.
Yeah, some of them get nothing.
Like to add?
Well, just one quick thing too.
Great job.
Is, not too often do they get a lot of experience and stuff. I was shocked to find out that they were volunteers. I was totally shocked, because they were so professional and better than any professional fire department I've ever seen.
Fantastic, thank
So I
you.
was really
That's what
impressed.
we like to hear.
Last call for anything to be added.
Need to vote.
Seeing no further public comment, we have a first and a second on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I think we need to vote.
Yeah, you would need a roll call. No?
Roll call
It's
vote.
okay, it's not a resolution, they're just
Oh,
simple
it's not a
motion. But it's clear from the vote that it was unanimously approved by the council.
Okay, so,
Addendums were-
I'm going to say order of business A through D has been unanimously approved. Seeing no further agenda items, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn, just wanted to say thank you, Greg, for bringing the clarity to it, squelching all the rumors and
Well,
naysayers.
like I say,
This is real healthy for our community.
nobody's perfect. And there is always room for improvement, and everybody should continue to strive for improvement. But under the circumstances, with the staffing, and I know Quincy Fire and a lot of fire departments throughout the county are struggling to bring in
Bring people in and keep them.
volunteers.
Yep.
And I think it's an issue that's faced not just within our county, it's faced everywhere. I don't know if it's generational or what, but it's increasingly difficult to get people to volunteer. And it's gonna be increasingly difficult to get people to volunteer when I see on social media the despicable accusations that are being made against the people who are doing this basically for free on a volunteer basis. There is room for improvement, nobody's perfect, are there mistakes? Of course there are. But under these circumstances, I really don't find room for any credible criticism, the likes of which we've seen. So, before I get off my soapbox any further,
Before
You got
adjourn-
that, Susan?
Before you adjourn, you can tell
You
your
got all
friends,
that?
you can tell your friends and family.
Live.
Or yourself.
It's live, yeah.
Here's
here.
a sign-up
Thank you,
sheet
Mick.
to join the Portola Fire Department. It will be on the desk up front, so when you hear people trashing, say, put your money where your mouth is.
Amen.
Go down to City Hall and sign up.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.